What is it in your mind that makes Switzerland such a competitive economy?
I think it's not just the economy. It is really a multitude of factors. And I think the most important factor is our federalistic system, a very granular organization. So, we're the only country in the world without a head of state.
Right.
Our head of state
or a
is
committee
people.
as a head of
It's
state, right?
a committee, yeah.
Right.
It's a head of state. We're the only country, certainly the OECD, where 75% of total tax revenue never goes to the capital.
Right.
1% of, so basically our parliament can never really make a decision. They make a law, and if 1% of the voters say, oh, we'd like to vote on this, we vote on this. And we're the only country in the world where 2% of the voters can request a compulsory vote on the change of constitution. And so it's all very much bottom up. That means everybody's trying to do the right thing. It's not somebody getting out of bed in Berlin, in Washington, in Moscow or something, saying, oh, today I think we're going to do boom.
Right.
So while on the one hand it gets very tricky to move, it is very responsive and very dynamic in terms of changing things that can be changed. So, for example, a friend of mine was the finance minister of Brüttiseelen, which is, a little commune, 2,000 people. He said, look, I collect 80% of the tax revenue. I give half I give to the canton and half I spend myself. And I meet all those people at Migros on Saturday morning.
Right.
I will think 3 times what I spend. In Washington, $1 billion is nothing. There are those huge programs. And so I think this granularity and this bottom-up is very, very important for Swiss politics, but also for Swiss business, because it creates an environment of you talk to the local politician who has some power when you're in business. Even Novartis talks to the politicians in Basel very, very frequently, and they understand what the company needs and vice versa. And then the other thing is, Switzerland is so small, we had no choice than to go out. So we have, the Roches and the Zurich Insurance. The big earthquake in San Francisco in 1904. Right. 50% was paid by Swiss Re.
Really?
Yes. So
reinsurance.
Reinsurance.
Okay. Yes.
The reinsurance.
Yes.
So, Zurich is now one of the largest insurance companies in the US because Farmers Group. And so very, very early, those companies had to go out much earlier than, the Brits or the Germans who first had their domestic market and everything. For Switzerland, it was a need to go out.
Right. That goes back to what I was saying before. All the growth is going to come from outside the country. Right?
And so, they have a lot of experience. They're now Switzerland, the 19th largest economy of the world, is the 6th largest direct investor in the US. We have never had mass products because Switzerland is not a mass market. And so it's, it's in pharma, it's in technology, it's everything. And then we had the banks. And then we were very lucky after the Second World War. We're the only country with a non-destroyed environment and a freely floatable currency. And so we had a lot of inflow, especially of American companies coming to Switzerland, between the early 50s and the early 60s. And so that also helped, obviously. But the industrial prowess of the Swiss companies came along before out of need. And, the Swiss franc has strengthened massively over the last, 20 years. When the euro came into effect, it was 164, if I remember right. Now it's 92, 0.92. Right. And the Swiss companies were obliged to do fitness training every year. So we could never be complacent. Yeah. And so between the granularity, the subsidiarity of the federalistic system, the very early need to move out, and the constant fitness training, that makes the Swiss companies just absolutely champions.
And would you say the same thing about, for example, a startup that would be established in Switzerland, even one that maybe foreign investors come and set up here? Would they understand that, or should they understand that?
I think they should understand that very clearly. I mean, the thing is, you don't do a startup when you grow in Switzerland. I mean, look at On. This is a very Swiss company with Swiss managers. Very quickly, they went to the US. They went to the US for the stock market. They went to the US for venture funds. But they took along the strength of the Swiss environment, the predictability, the political stability, the preciseness. I mean, we said 11 o'clock today, and I was here at 11 o'clock because that's what you do in Switzerland.
Right.
In most other countries of the world, plus minus 30 minutes is no problem.
Yes.
So those startup can take out a lot. And I think at the end of the day, where it's still very flexible, you look at crypto. I was on the board of Swiss Quote, just down the road here. We were the first European bank to have a crypto platform. We're the first European bank to also accept crypto in and crypto out with the cooperation of our regulator. So the very close cooperation with the regulator. And sometimes it gets on your nerves, sure, but you can talk to those people.
Right.
It's not this huge behemoth that sits up there somewhere, but there are people you can talk to. Same thing with when you want to build a house or something in the commune, you can talk to the responsible people. It's a very close cooperation, a close discussion that is much less formalistic than in most other countries, and this is what also startup can take out.
Sure.
We had regulation for crypto companies, we called them the sandbox, which was probably also a first in Europe. Maybe
Sandbox?
Sandbox. It's a very narrow regulation for startup companies in the crypto area, which you don't have to do the whole shebang that you need to be a bank. Startups, as long as they stayed small and they tried things, they could have a very, very light regulation on the crypto companies.
Interesting. So let's just using crypto as an example. I mean, that's bleeding edge as far, not even leading edge, it's bleeding edge, right?
Yeah, sometimes bleeding, yes.
Right. Yeah. Maybe I should have chosen a different metaphor, but the idea is that this is something that is clearly super innovative and just the opposite of what Switzerland's reputation has been for generations, which is it's a very conservative country. It's going to be, I won't say always a laggard, but it might not be the first society or economy to jump on a new idea. And yet when you see this kind of thing now, you realize that something has changed in this country in the last 30, 40 years. I don't know how long it's been exactly, but it's clear that things have actually turned around and that this is no longer a conservative country. Would you agree with that?
Not totally. I think it was always very innovative in some sense.
Right.
We're always very conservative on a few things, which, some of the social politics and all those kind of things, we were slow about the women's vote and all those kind of things. But in terms of economy, it has to do about domestic and international. Business was always international. And we were always under pressure from the world markets. We were always in competition with the world markets. We had to move fast. So you look at pharma, you look at banking, you look at Nestle, you look at BBC, which is now ABB. Right? You look at many companies, extremely innovative, extremely fast, extremely competitive. And then you come to the more domestic issues, the social things. There Switzerland is really slow. Slow because of this granular bottom-up thing that just doesn't allow for speed. So I think it's a bit Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In business, I think Switzerland has always been very innovative. Look at 150 years ago, you had a very strong presence of Swiss companies in California. Well, everybody else was still hooked in Europe.
Okay, interesting.
And so I think it's very difficult to explain this to foreigners, but I think in business, it's very open to ideas. It's very open to speed. It's less regulated than certainly Europe. It's less regulated than also in some industries in America. A lot of freedom, and then a lot of very, very strong framework. The infrastructure works. Everything's on time. It's critical. It's predictable. There's the rule of law. So there's a lot of very good things that are enhancing the innovation speed of companies. And you look in we're the world leaders in elevators, cement, food, banking, pharma anyway, the biotech. This is not yesterday's industry. This is tomorrow's industry.
Sure. Not bad for a country of 8 million.
Yep.